Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things. I upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Central Time. I am an independent author, an avid reader, and a cat mom of 4. And today, since it is the start of July, I thought we would do the mid-year Freakout Tag and talk about what I've been reading, how many books I've read so far this year, where I am with my goals, what I think about the books I've read. So, let's get into it. Starting off with the number of books I've read versus my goal. My goal was to read 200 books is to read 200 books this year, and so far I have read and completed 82 books, which is behind, but I think that's pretty good. I think I can come back from this. On average, it takes me about 4 days to finish a book. About 67% of the books I've read have been a medium pace, 4% have been a slow pace, and 29% have been a fast pace. As far as page numbers go, 59% have been between 300 and 499 pages, 37% have been under 300 pages, and 4% have been over 500 pages, or 500 pages and more. I've read 85% fiction and 15% nonfiction, and for most read authors, I have first Rachel Reed, who wrote the Game Changers series that features Heated Rivalry. That is 6 books by her, 3 books by Lauren Asher and Umi Sakurai. I've completed 3 books by Matt Dinniman. I am in the 4th book of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, The Gate of the Feral Gods. Please no spoilers. I know I'm behind, but please no spoilers. I've read 2 books by Elliot Fletcher, 2 books by Olivia Dade, 2 books by Julia Bennett, 2 books by Andrew Joseph White, and my average star rating for the books that I've finished, I don't count DNFs, I don't give those stars, is 4.47. So I've read more good books than bad. As far as the best book I've read this year, that would probably be The Library After Dark by Andy Pliego. Favorite sequel would be The Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dinniman. It's part of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Most anticipated read for the first half of the year. So this is a book I am very excited for, but I haven't had a chance to read yet, that came out in the first half of this year. And that is Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And then for the second half of the book I'm most excited for is probably Espiritu by Aidan Thomas. It's the sequel to Cemetery Boys, which I believe I reviewed here. The biggest disappointment I've had this year has been You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. It's his first foray into adult fiction. I've read several of his YA fiction books. I've got them on the shelf behind me. And this one I finished. It was a struggle to finish. I did finish it. And it just was not it for me. Like, it was hard to read. I kept expecting things to get better, for there to be the same little soap bubbles of joy bursting into the world that you get in his YA books, and that just wasn't there. Like, it was very hard to read. I'm glad to have read it. It gave me a different perspective on things. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and I think I let myself down because I was so excited for this. The biggest surprise I read was What Does It Feel Like by Sophie Kinsella. I read her Confessions of a Shopaholic series. I read her 20s Girl book. I loved the Shopaholic books when I was in college. I thought those were great. What Does It Feel Like is a romanicles of having a brain tumor and like the memory loss and like remembering who you are and going through things and like what does that feel like. And the author passed away, I believe, shortly after the book came out, and I cried. I cried for this book. I was not expecting that. I'm like, oh, Sophie Kinsella. I just picked it up from my library. I'm like, ooh, Sophie Kinsella book. I love hers. They're so upbeat and charming and wonderful. And that's on me. Like, I'm aware that's on me. I went into it blind. But that was the biggest surprise. Book that made me cry, and for this I'm going cry the most, would be Flamer by Mike Curato. That one I actually had to close the book because I was crying so hard. Like, I kept reading until it was like a safe place in the book, and then I just sobbed. Like, it's a graphic novel. I reviewed it on the channel here, and it just got really hard. Like I was very emotional reading it, and I cried the hardest. Like, What Does It Feel Like? I cried also, but that one was only slightly less than Flamer. A book that made me happy has to be Apparently Sir Cameron Needs to Die by Greer Stothers. I reviewed that one on this channel as well. That's one of my recent reads. I read that one in June. And that one was just so delightful. It was off the wall and absurdist and a little bit ridiculous in places, but it was so good and so joyous. Even when things looked dire, even when things were bad, there was still... I feel like the author had fun writing it, because even when things looked grim, I had fun reading it. And then the books I want to read before the end of the year are Yesteryear by Claire Burke. Like, I've got that one. It's in the other room in a different TBR pile, because the bottom shelf before the little Barbie sewing machine is TBR, and that's double stacked. And then I have a pile in the living room, and then I have a bin in the living room. So I need to get through some books. I'm also looking forward to Espiritu by Aidan Thomas. It's the sequel to Cemetery Boys. Absolutely brilliant. Fell in love with Cemetery Boys. Sunbearer or Sunbringer, I can't remember the title, is on my TBR from Aidan Thomas. It's his other series, and I'm very excited to read that. The Intrigue by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It hasn't come out yet. It's coming out soon. I have it pre-ordered. I love her books. They're up there on the top, and they're just really good. I love her books. I haven't read a Silvia Moreno Garcia book that I haven't loved. Like, I haven't found one yet. Brigands and Bread Knives. This one came out a while ago. I just haven't gotten around to reading it. I have my copy. I just need to pull it off the shelf and read it. So that one I'm looking forward to. The Never Queen by Nikki St. Crow. This one is a spicy book. Nikki St. Crow wrote, it's a Lost Boys, Peter Pan and Wendy dark romance, and this is the latest book in the series, and I'm excited to read it. I really enjoyed the first, I think there's 4, or are there 5? It's 4 or 5 books in the series. I've read all of them. I'm probably going to reread them before The Never Queen comes out, because they do, as spicy as they are, they do tell a story across the books that, like, picks up, and, like, you have to have been paying at least a little bit of attention to the plot. Like, you can't just skim the plot and expect to know what's going on. The Knave and the Moon by Rachel Gillig. The Night and the Moth was fabulous. I absolutely adored that book. I cried, I laughed, I rooted for the character. No spoilers, but, like, the twist that happened, I did not see coming. And the aftermath of that twist is what we're supposed to be getting into in the next book. I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be, if it's anything like the first book, I'm very excited for it. The 2 books I'm reading right now are the 4th Dungeon Crawler Carl book, which I have in hardback, but I'm listening to the audiobook because for some reason I'm just not comprehending the words that I'm reading on the page. Like, it's not clicking. So I switched to the audiobook. This is the first of the Dungeon Crawler Carl audiobooks I've listened to, and oh my goodness, why didn't anyone tell me Jeff Hayes was this amazing? Like, I'm having a hard time believing he does all the voices. Like, I'm not, having read the first 3, like, in my head with my own voices, I'm not sure I agree with all of his choices, but the consistency of them and the difference between them is astounding. And then the other book I'm reading, which is for the last square on the bingo board of the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, part 2, which ends on the 6th, so that ends on Monday, is The Second Death of Locke. It was for the readathon, and it's the read your bookshelf. So you have to pick a book that's already on your TBR. Like, you can't go out and find a book for it. And the prompt for July was a book with a map. And this one has a map. So I'm enjoying both of these. They're very different. They're very different worlds. They're both fantasy, but they're both very different fantasy. Dungeon Crawler Carl is lit RPG. The Second Death of Locke is more of a magic, medieval kind of feel. Like, I'm not entirely sure when we are, but it feels like your classic medieval D&D style setting that you get. It doesn't feel like a Lord of the Rings, like this is its own world yet, but I'm not very far along in it, so that could just be me not being fully immersed in the story. How are your reading goals going for this year? I'd love to hear how your reading is progressing. Do you even set a goal? I know not everybody sets a goal for their reading. They just kind of read as the spirit moves them and like carry themselves through. And I do have a healthy respect for that. I do read some books via mood. Like, I've always thought that your TBR is a menu, not a to-do list. And while I would love to read all of these books eventually, if I'm just not feeling the book, I'm not going to force myself to jam it down my throat. I did that with You Weren't Meant to Be Human, and I'm wondering if that's one that I should have DNF'd. So, I'd love to hear what you're reading right now. Are you doing any summer reading challenges? My local indie bookstore is doing their own reading challenge. You have to read 4 books between July 1st and August 22nd. The bookstore is Leather and Bound in Fate, Texas. If you are local, it would be fabulous. They're really great. They have amazing drink bar and then books. They have a whole wall of indie authors. It's great. But I'm doing their summer reading challenge, and I just got an indie book for my first book. And I'm really looking forward to that, so I'll let you know how that goes. Tell me what you're reading. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!